What's going on, Call of Duty? If you know me, you know. Over the last year or so, last 2 years, I should say, I've been pushing hard for an adequate proximity check. Actually, it's been about 3 years now for an adequate proximity check. I spent 2 years asking for one, then we got it, and I spent a year trying to get it to be something that's actually meaningful, and it's relatable, and it's entertaining. Um, Simply because I like to troll people. Sometimes I might go in and have music playing, and I might just use my auto tune. Sometimes I might play some music that I made, or like a instrumental that I made, and it'd be really creepy, and we'll use this voice. Go in and start just fucking with people. You know what I mean? And it's fun when you're playing Rebirth or Resurgence, because if you get a room full of people who just talking shit to each other, and you go in and they hear the Omen playing or some creepy ass, but who is this? And then they hear the voice and it's like, man, we got one of these motherfuckers. So the point is, it's fun, it's entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, there's been occasions where I go into Call of Duty and I'd be like, man, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? And then me and the person talking shit back and forth to each other, and they're like, all right, my fault, I quit, I'm done. You right, you win. And we laugh and joke about it because it's all in fun. So with that being said, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information. This video right here is going to contain a whole lot of I don't want to say conspiracies, but it's a lot of awareness, a lot of triggers for you to be aware and alert. So if you guys, even if you don't stream, this is for you. If you play Call of Duty, this is for you. It's not about the streaming aspect; it's about the safety aspect. So without further ado, let's give the ball over to Prime Pete and hear what he has to say.
We've just got some insane information exposed about Call of Duty that has never been shared before, and it's bad. Just a warning, this is actually bad. So just a disclaimer, brace yourself for what's coming. All credit right now goes to Branch Off Bush, who I'll link in the
Okay, you see that? Branch Off Bush. Make sure you go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to his channel
description. He's much more knowledgeable than I am about computers, game development, and coding, and his explanation is incredibly in-depth and precise. However, it's a little difficult to understand for an everyday average gamer, so I'm going to simplify and relay this information to you in a way where it's widely accessible. Branch Off Bush has been trying to get the attention of the mainstream Call of Duty community for a while, but it was clear we weren't ready to hear the information.
It says it's Hopper, it's Fully, Neuro Cinema, not Blame Truth. I helped the government agency prove Activision game software has access to your camera like the patent state. Merry Christmas, Activision. Now stop hiding felonies behind patents. Pixels of Mark. As Defiant was clean. Sucks your boss screwed up. And this was on Christmas of 2024.
Yet. This tweet shows him tagging a bunch of larger creators in the Call of Duty community, telling them that he helped a government agency expose the fact that Activision executes software that has unrestricted access to your computer's camera. But it's a lot more than just that. This is going to expose a lot of what Activision is doing behind the scenes, not just with manipulating the game, but also with your computer or console as well. I'm going to teach some complex computer things here in a short time, so pay attention and get ready to get rocked. We've never outed anything like this before. The first thing I need to explain is something called a DLL file. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library, and it is, put very simply, a file that runs in the background of your computer that contains code that multiple programs can access at the same time. For example, if a program needs to access your camera, like Zoom or Skype, instead of the developers needing to write code within that software to control your camera, they can instead tell the software to access a DLL file that is already on your computer to access the video feed of your camera. It's basically a shortcut for developers. Instead of recoding functions that your computer can already do, they just tell the software to access a toolbox of code that is already capable of doing that. In the simplest terms possible, why build a hammer from scratch with your own resources when you can just reach into your toolbox and pull one out? This being...
And that's cool. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. If you have access to something that's going to make the system better, make the gameplay better for the community, for streamers and gamers alike, individuals who casually play and people who sweat play. If you make it more entertaining, make it fun for them, great. But that's what it has to be about solely.
Instead, Branch Off Bush, when helping this government agency find out what Activision was up to behind the scenes, used software that detects what DLL files a certain program was accessing while it was running. First, he tested this software on Black Ops 1 while playing combat training. He found that it accessed only a single suspicious DLL file called ntdll.dll.
Now, I've seen NCDLL a few times when I play Call of Duty. I'm not a computer guy. I mean, I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I know the simplest things, but I don't know everything.
Black Ops 1 was designed to run on both 32 and 64-bit systems, or newer and older systems at the same time. But since Black Ops 1 was also compatible with Windows XP, an older operating system, the game was accessing this DLL file in order
Man, what did I want me to show a video or something?
to utilize the resources necessary to translate the game over to a 64-bit system from a 32-bit origin. Put simply, Call of Duty was accessing this DLL file present in Windows in order to make an older game compatible on a newer system. So it is not suspicious activity. The game simply requires code that Windows already possessed, so that the devs didn't need to code their own translation software. Rather, they pulled from the DLL toolbox that already existed on Windows. So that was a total mouthful, but it sets up the absolute bombshell that I'm about to drop next. When using the same software that detects what DLL files a certain program is potentially utilizing maliciously, but this time on Modern Warfare 3 2023, the software found something that would shock you. The first list of utilized DLLs when Black Ops 1 was investigated was this big. Only 6 DLL files were utilized by Black Ops 1, and none were suspicious or malicious. When the software was run on Modern Warfare 3 2023, the list was this big. Holy smokes. For context, and not just because Black Ops 6 is more modern, bro, XDefiant uses, you guessed it, 0 DLLs when it was tested with the same software. The game accesses a lot of your computer's functionality, but hold on, there's one in particular that stands out from the rest. While I will grant that a lot of these files are innocent, this one right here is cause for great alarm. nvcamera64.dll. Whoa. Now we're getting some.
And then that goes to the question, what would Call of Duty be doing? What would you be doing in Call of Duty to where your camera is mandatory? Where your camera is even needed? And your camera is accessed. I'm telling you, access your camera in Call of Duty.
Somewhere. Call of Duty is using files in your computer that are designed to access your camera's video feed, even when you don't have a webcam active. Call of Duty immediately on startup has direct access to your camera, despite the game and anti-cheat not at all requiring camera access. Not a single function within Call of Duty requires such a thing to be active. So why is it active? Well, look no further than this Activision-owned and created patent. Methods and systems to modify a two-dimensional facial image to increase dimensional depth and generate a facial image that appears three-dimensional. Why on God's green earth does this patent need to exist? The scariest part is that this image included in the patent's resources displays a player's face overlaid over their gameplay.
So while you're playing Call of Duty, Activision is accessing your camera and your microphone, because most of these cameras, these webcams have microphones. Most of these cameras have microphones. So they're accessing your camera and microphone. So when they're doing the anti-cheat, never mind. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what he has to say.
The footnote that describes this image reads as the following. In embodiments, the expressions/reactions of movements of image 1504, which is this image right here, reflect the user's expressions/reactions and movements in real time. This software is capable of using your camera to read and analyze your reactions and emotions, and the game is also confirmed to be accessing your camera as soon as the game starts up. But then we have to ask, why is Call of Duty getting access to your camera the moment the game boots up? It's not to design a 3D model of your face for graphic design purposes, or maybe it is, I don't know. But what other things has Activision created or perhaps patented that would need camera access in order to get the most benefit out of it? Well, we return once again to one of our favorite patents, system and method for driving microtransactions in multiplayer video games. And here is where I drop the bombshell. We can see right here in this patent that Activision has designed a system that does a few visuals. Firstly, in this section right here, it reads, examples of quality factors include, without limitation, a player quitting a match or gameplay session while other players are still playing, indicating satisfaction, blah, 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 until we get right here. A player engagement factor, e.g., a speed of player input, a level of focus as determined from camera peripherals, etc., where greater engagement may indicate greater satisfaction. So
what they do is they access your camera without you knowing. So if you're gaming and streaming, they access your camera secondary. That's why whenever you game, if you turn your game on and you have you play PC, you look at the bottom right corner. The bottom right corner of your taskbar, you ever see the location pop up, the little arrow? That's because they're tracking your local. They're tracking all your shit, bro. They're tracking all your shit. Like, just to start this stream up or start this video up, just to get my camera the way I want it after downloading this Black Ops 6, I have to open Streamlabs, then open NVIDIA, and then open the browser, because my camera is being accessed for some reason from somewhere that I didn't know existed until now. Now I'm understanding why my camera acts the way it does and why my system acts the way it does.
In this patent, a camera is used to analyze the emotional state of a player. Another section reads, the quality factors may include, for example, a duration of a gameplay session, e.g. via analysis of player historical data, player psychological state, e.g. frustration level, and or other information. So Activision has created methods and systems.
So my argument when I used to, because I get chat banned a lot, like it's a running joke with my homeboys that the moment I'm off chat ban, I'm right back chat banned, and it don't take long. Like, it literally takes less than a day. So I used to always say, man, I wish Call of Duty had a system set up to where they could actually see context or understand context. Because if you can understand that I'm not being angry and malicious, and I'm not being detrimental to to people's gameplay, and it's more or less just the words I say and not how I say them. It'll be a lot easier for Call of Duty to be taken seriously. Because people get angry that they can't even say words. You shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to bash people or make anyone feel less than. Like, the report has to be something where if a person hears you, they report you, and then it's taken into consideration, review, and they go through the context. Now, knowing that they have access to your camera, they can read and they look to control to understand body language. They look to understand facial expressions. They should understand wholeheartedly the context of the words that are being used. So I used to always joke and say Call of Duty is always paying attention. They listen to me. Whatever I say, they pay attention. And everybody always they mock this shit. They laugh about it. But when we were on Ashika Island, I likened myself to be the shark of Ashika Island. I stayed in water with my knife, and I used to stab people. You know what I mean? I snipe and quick scope people, but when I see people jump into the water, I'm right behind them. As I was a shark of Ashika Island, so you couldn't go in the water to avoid me. That was my point. And then I started doing the thing where when I started showing my sniping range on my strings, I used to always call myself the Hemosaurus Rex. You know what I'm saying? Big Hemosaurus Rex. I got plenty of videos of me saying both of the things. So a couple months ago, they dropped the Kaidosaurus or whatever it was called, where it was a dinosaur. Like a little velociraptor or something. And then they dropped a shark. So I was like, oh man, somebody to pay attention to me, because they did both of the things that I said. Then when I was begging for proximity chat, they gave us proximity chat. So I used to always say, man, Kyle pays attention to whatever I say. Whatever I say, they listen to. So, I noticed that over the last month and a half, 2 months, I always get kicked out of my games. Like, my games always have a direct X error every single time. Every day I have at least, if I play the game for 8 hours, I'm going to get kicked out at least 4 times. At least. Minimum 4 times. And so to the point where my homeboy Shirai was asking me for the past couple of days, man, you gonna get back on COD? Like, no, bro, I'm playing GTA. I gave up on COD. I'm done. Like, it's just not fun for me. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the enjoyment was the engagement. It was the interaction. It's, you know what I'm saying, somebody shit talking you shit talking them, and whoever wins get the last laugh. You know what I'm saying? It was being able to enjoy the game, to have a stressful day, and to decompress playing Call of Duty. Sometimes turn the microphone off. But to know that even when you're not accessing Call of Duty, even when you're not accessing the game, Call of Duty itself, it's still utilizing your cameras. So that means that whatever you do in the background, whatever's going on around you, Call of Duty is paying attention to. They're watching your face. They're watching everything that goes on in your household. That shit is scary as fuck. Like that's just scary.
Systems that read player emotions in order to drive microtransactions and rig the matchmaking. And the best part? The patent that creates 3D facial images out of 2D images is cited within the microtransaction patent. And they have an AI that listens to your microphone in game chat, so the game has unrestricted camera access, can see your face and hear your voice without you giving them permission to see your face or hear your voice outside of voice chat. Unless somewhere in the terms of service there is a loophole that we sign up to, which I wouldn't be too surprised about, this is really bad. So Call of Duty has camera access as soon as the game starts up, and Activision has patents that suggest that a camera can be used in-game to measure your engagement levels and do whatever else it wants to do. Remember, when Branchoff Bush did this text with XDefiant, no DLL files were pulled at all, meaning the game wasn't using anything on the system to run the game, and the game was executing all of its own unique code. That's quite interesting. XDefiant, a game without manipulative matchmaking and a transparent dev team, doesn't use any DLL processes, not one, nor does it do any other kind of engagement measurement. But then we get to Call of Duty, where we can feel something is quite off about the game, and we suddenly discover the game has unrestricted camera feed access, as well as patents about reading player emotions for engagement. That cites a patent that uses a camera to model a be trying to do. But this next patent seals the deal. May I present to you methods and systems for continuing to execute a simulation after processing resources go offline. Already the name of this patent is incredibly off-putting, but then you read into what it's capable of doing, and you start to really question what's going on. Get ready for this one. A system and method is provided that simulates gameplay of non-player characters, NPCs, distributed across networked end-user devices. The system may identify end-user devices that are connected to the system through a network and are available to participate in a simulation in which each participating end-user device is provided with one or more NPCs to be executed. An end-user device may be available to participate when it has sufficient computing capacity, such as when in an idle or standby state. As such, the system may leverage spare computing capacity of networked end-user devices to execute NPCs at networked end-user devices during a simulation. In this manner, the behavior of an NPC may be tested using real-world connections that may affect gameplay, such as network connection quality, user-to-user game engine coordination and data exchanges, and/or other real-world conditions associated with networked end-user devices. That's wicked complex. But this is essentially what is called a botnet, which is a computer virus, which is a felony. For those of you who don't know, botnets are a network of computers that have been artificially connected by malware or a virus. Within a botnet, the combined computing power of every computer is used to more efficiently perform fraudulent activity, such as generate more spam emails, DDoS a website, steal data, mine cryptocurrency, or spread malware to link even more systems into the botnet. Put simply, a botnet is a virus that links multiple computers together and uses their combined computing power to more efficiently perform whatever tasks the controller wants them to do. It's hijacking computers as zombie batteries for a shady operation. That being said, this patent looks like they simply patented a botnet, which again is an illegal virus that hijacks your computer's processing power, because it's networking computers that have Call of Duty together in order to run simulations, theoretically. If we reference another patent, it essentially describes how Network is creating methods to make AI NPC players that are indistinguishable from real human beings. This is another favorite patent of mine. This is incredibly useful to them, because in order to toss engaging matches, they now don't have to rely on finding the right human being for the job. They can simply put you into a match that is perfectly tailored for your engagement, and you have no idea it's actually a simulation with no real human beings. Having recently apparently proved that AI bots are now in COD, you can see where I'm going with this. And just recently, we've discovered that on Steam, the game doesn't close properly. It has processes that stay open once you quit. You think something might be going on here? These two patents together, executing a simulation when resources go offline to train NPCs in real-world conditions, and creating NPCs that are indistinguishable from human beings, we can start to assemble the puzzle pieces. And it's not pretty. They're using your computer, yes, yours, to train NPC AI players on the side while you're not even in the game, i.e., while your processing resources go offline. And the same can be probably said for consoles as well. It's using your computer's processing power and resources in the background in order to train AI bots that play Call of Duty, and you're connected to other players' PCs as well through the network they've created. At least that's what the patent details. It networks a bunch of computers that have COD installed together, then uses that processing power to run simulations with these NPC bots so that they can learn how to appear more indistinguishable from human beings.
That's fucking crazy. They're taking the fun out of the game even more so now.
Using the processing power of your computer and your console without you knowing to train their own NPC bots to further perpetuate the manipulative nature of the game and turn it even more into the Matrix. And I'll throw in one more thing for you. What if this AI player your PC is being used to train is almost an exact one-to-one copy of how you play? Here's a detail other creators have missed. Having access to the NVCamera64.dll doesn't only mean your webcam. It means it has access to the contents of your screen. So that means when you're playing, some kind of software within Call of Duty is requesting to have access to the actual video feed of your monitor. Does that mean that it's gathering gameplay data from your perspective in order to train an AI version of you? It's not out of the question considering what Activision has patented and what Activision is shown to do by accessing your video feed. There's no way to 1000% prove this just yet, but the fact they've patented a botnet, which is a system that is literally a felony, goes to show that they maybe aren't the most ethical company in the world. However, seeing as we have proved that Call of Duty gets access to your camera, even when there isn't one connected, which suggests that it's actually watching your screen and your gameplay, and there's no other reason to access the camera unless we relay it back to the patents that state that it has access to your camera, reads your emotions, and manipulates matchmaking and gameplay for the sake of making as much money as possible, we get a case that is incredibly suspicious. And the only counter-argument is one of pure cognitive dissonance. This is bad. And it's undeniable. Call of Duty doesn't need access to your camera for the gameplay to function properly, but for some reason, it's accessing your camera anyways as soon as the game boots up. And it's literally been proven that it does. And that should terrify you. Along with the botnet patent, we should be very scared of what's coming next. This game can read our facial expressions and is potentially using our computer's computing resources to train AI NPCs that they're going to toss into the matchmaking to make the game the most manipulative, dopamine drip-feeding Matrix simulator we've ever experienced in gaming. And all the naysayers are just going to let it happen because it sounds too much like a conspiracy. You'll be thanking people like Branchoff Bush and me and Blame Truth years from now if Activision gets outed for doing these things and they shut it down. But that's all I got for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and go subscribe to Branchoff Bush. He's got crazy information on his channel. I'm Prime Pete. Be safe out there and take it easy.
With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I am CaineCEO. So like Prime Pete said, make sure you go follow Branchoff Bush. Subscribe to his channel, subscribe to Prime Peace channel, and if you want to, you can sub here. Hit the like button, comment down below what you actually think. But in my personal opinion, this shit is fucking crazy, bro. And Activision has been using their power and their leverage to fuck over the common man who just want to enjoy the game. With that being said, we're out of here. Activision is going to eventually get taken down. I'm just done with it, bro. GTA for me.